Hey guys, how's it going? Happy Resurrection Day. For those of you who still call it Easter, happy Easter. Whatever you may call it, happy Resurrection Day. Glad to have you with me. It's been quite a while. As you can see today, I'm deciding to do a video. I've been thinking recently about the direction I want to take the YouTube channel, or about this show in particular. And up until this point, I've mostly done audio in the form of a podcast, mostly using the website Podbean. However, just due to a couple of different things I've been thinking about, maybe the direction I feel that God may be taking me, I might switch this to a video format. The reason why I was sticking with audio for so long was because, as you know, I do this channel in both English and Japanese. When I do the Japanese, I almost always have to have at least some type of base script, because no matter how much I learn of Japanese, it would never be my first language. I would never be at the level that I need to be, at least I believe, to just go off the cuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have to have some type of base when it comes to like having a show. If I don't have a base, I'll just end up freezing all the time or saying a lot of I don't want that. I want a smooth show, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I might just do the English with the videos, and the Japanese might be. I might just stick with the audio, or I might find that I'm good enough to just do both the Japanese and the English in video format. That would be best. That would be best. I think it creates more of a sense of a better dynamic. I think my second YouTube channel was all videos, and to be honest with you, I'm getting kind of tired of the audio format. I'm just gonna be dead honest with you. I just kind of lack the motivation right now to just do the audio. It's getting kind of dry and honestly a bit boring, quite boring, and it might be time for a new direction. So this might be a sign of things to come. I hope I can do the Japanese version of this episode video as well. I do have some notes on my phone for the English version, just because I don't want to just ramble the whole video, because I have a tendency to do that. I feel like I'm rambling already. So with that, let's start the show. Thanks for joining me today for another episode of Raw Faith, English version. Today, I want to talk about my testimony. And I used to think that testimonies were a one-time deal, that everyone had just one testimony that they would tell throughout their entire life. But that's not true. I think that as God brings us through the valleys and the highs and the lows, the rivers and the seas, the dark places and the light places, that we create our own stories, and those stories can become our testimonies. If you don't know what a testimony is, if you're new to this whole Christian thing, this Jesus thing, a testimony is basically a story, true story about how God has changed your life or worked in a big way. Now, others may not see it as big, but it's big for you. That's why it's a testimony. I like the word test, because often these experiences, they are tests, they're trials that God actually does put on us that we need for our growth and our development. It's a form of love, sometimes tough love. Of course, the word test has nothing to do with testimony, but a testimony often has to do with a test. And let me tell you, my test last year, several of them were trials and very testing. So I want to give my testimony about last year, and about how God moved in my life in last December, in 3 big ways. So first, I just want to talk about the church where I am now. Now, last year, another amazing thing, I've been Christian all my life, but for some reason, I never got baptized in America. Never. And every time there was a situation, an opportunity to do so, something would happen. I would feel sick. I would get a headache. But it took me coming to Japan last year, right? I'm 32 now. Last year, I was 31. It took me 31 years to get baptized, y'all. And not in America, in Japan. That's one thing that made me know, one thing that really confirmed that God brought me here to this country. And that's part of the reason why I'm doing this ministry, this podcast, this YouTube channel, because I have a heart for Japanese people in a land where people know about God, but they don't really know Him. They know the movie version, they know the prayers that people see, the prayers that people say on TV and movies, but they don't know the real God. And that's what I want to introduce Japanese people to. And that's why I'm doing this ministry bilingual. Anyway, off topic. what I want to say is, last year I got resurrected. I got baptized, and when you get baptized at Bethany, they give you this card. It's called a basically proof of your baptism. So in Japanese, this says Senrei Shomeisho, proof of baptism, or certificate of baptism. But anyway, the verse that they have written here was Isaiah 43:19. Everyone who gets baptized, they get a different Bible verse, actually. Different verse, right? So it's all in Japanese, so I'll tell you what this says in English. Give me 1 second. I have it here on the app. So it's actually Isaiah 43:19, but I'm actually going to put Isaiah 43:18 in there too, because it matches with my testimony. It says, forget, and this is what God was saying to the Israelites. So to give you some background, God was speaking to the Israelites, and this is the message that he gave them. He says, forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland. Now, why is that important? Last year was a street fight with depression for me. Sometimes it still gets to me this year too, but last year was bad, y'all. I hadn't been back to America in 3.5 years. I was missing my family. I was losing myself. I had lost myself. I didn't know who I was anymore. A lot of changes were taking place in my physical body. I got a lot of pain. I had kind of separated myself from some people who I feel that didn't serve me well anymore. Didn't serve each other well. It was just a lot of chaos, a lot of things going on. And I crossed through that wilderness. Now, if you saw my other episode, one of the first episodes I did of Raw Faith, I talked about the necessity of the wilderness. Definitely go and take a look at that. But I am glad that God led me through that wilderness, because there were rivers that he provided. There was a way that he provided. And that coalesced through many pains and many dyings. Last December, when I finally got to go back to America, y'all, that's when a lot of stuff changed. I mean, the whole game changed. I'm talking about 180 degrees, right? So God really changed me, or he healed my relationships in 3 big ways. But let me take a step back. Before I went back to America in December, our pastor at the church, his name is Pastor Yoshida Sensei, he had prophesied that God would start healing in my life. Now, there's all kinds of healing. There's healing physically. There's healing emotionally, mentally. And he said that one of the ways that God was going to heal me was with my relationships. I never heard healing in relationships really talked about so much when it comes to the Bible and Christianity and this walk with Christ. I mean, I knew instinctively what that meant, but I wonder, why relationships? What exactly does that mean? But anyway, I was wondering, why relationships? What's up with that? But anyway, I took it as it was, and I was looking forward to seeing how God was going to change my relationships. So fast forward, I went back to America, and before I moved here to Japan, my former self, I was talking about Isiah, right? Where God spoke about the former things and how we should forget them. My former self was not a very good person. I was a pretty cold-hearted guy. The reason why, I'm gonna try not to make this too long. The reason why was because I got picked on a lot when I was a kid. Very small child, never really fit in anywhere. And even with one of my best friends, former best friend now, it just wasn't a healthy relationship. A lot of emotional abuse from my friend, a lot of verbal abuse, never anything physical, but just not a nice guy, and very jealous of me, very spiteful. He was going through his own trauma, but he took all of it out on me and my family. He even turned me against my family, or he tried to at least. It was just an awful, awful thing. And so that had built up a wall, a very hard crust in my heart, and I didn't like people. In fact, I hated people. Well, even to my family, I was cold to a certain degree. And even though that heart of mine had started to thaw before I came here to Japan, I was still a pretty cold guy. Now, when I came here to Japan, they say that absence makes the heart grow fonder. And I believe that that may also be part of the reason why my heart started changing, especially towards my family. But God also had a working within my heart. He was moving and shaking and rattling things that had needed to be rattled and shaken and broken. And I started to love my family. I started to love people. Just God working through my heart and through my life in several different ways. I can go on and on about it, but long story short, He changed me on the inside. Now, my parents and my brother, they are completely loving. They're great people. And I always felt I was different from them because I couldn't express that same love as eloquently, as purely, as beautifully as they could. But I had changed, and I was ready to show my parents and show my brother, hey, I'm a changed man. And I went back to America, and the first week was great. They saw how much I had changed. I had gotten more confidence. Several people had told me, whoa, you've gotten taller, or have you gotten taller? Have you gotten taller? And actually, I didn't. Basically, what had happened was I got more confidence. But let me tell you something. When I lived in America, I didn't really have a lot of confidence in myself. So, as you know, when people don't have confidence, it shows in their posture, it shows in their gestures. And probably what had happened was I was always bold forward like this. I never really had good posture. But when you have confidence, you pull back like this. You pull your shoulders back, right? And so people had perceived that I had gotten taller. My aura had gotten bigger. My presence had gotten bigger because of that confidence that God had given me. But somewhere along the line, I started feeling like something was wrong. I started doubting if I had really changed myself, if I had really changed at all. Maybe I was still this cold-hearted guy who was shy, didn't like himself, didn't like anybody. Maybe I didn't even like my parents, didn't care about anyone. And I didn't know where that feeling came from. And so my mother had suggested to me to start writing things down. She always likes to write things down, and I recommend you guys do the same thing. If there's ever any type of just cloudy feeling in your head, you're just not sure what to do with it, try writing it down. The power of a written word and the visual representation it makes, it can really change how you see something. So that's what I tried. And the stuff I wrote down was horrible. It made me, I was shocked. It really made me sob. I really don't want to go into all of it, but it revealed a darkness in my heart that I knew was there, but I had forgotten how deep it was because I was pushing it down for so long here in Japan. And basically what I had written down was I feared, or I told myself that I didn't care about anyone. Didn't care about my parents, didn't care about my brother. That the only reason I was even trying to reach out to Japanese people was because I wanted it for my glory. I was just a selfish piece of crap, just an awful human being. And other things that I don't really want to discuss on here, that's between me and God. Didn't even tell my parents. I may never tell them, but there were some things there that really shocked me. And in the midst of all that, it made me think, man, maybe I haven't changed at all. And it made me feel guilty. You see, like I said, my parents and my brother have always been very loving towards me, very loving people, very just pure. They seem so pure to me, compared to me, who has always been kind of dark and brooding, separating myself from people, not really showing or accepting love. And so I felt guilt, so much guilt. I felt awful. Why would I ever? How could anyone ever? Even my parents, how could they love me when I'm this awful of a person? How could my brother love me when I was this awful of a person? And I also found out that I was really jealous towards my brother. You see, my brother has always been, when we were younger, the opposite of me. He was the star of the show. He was friendly, popular, handsome, good-looking, the cool guy. He's got dreadlocks. He's got tattoos. He's got a bike. He was in the military. I was in the military too, but you know, he was more of the man's man. And of course, he was more popular with girls. And even with our extended family, our cousins seemed to flock to him more. And I never realized until I wrote those things down, how jealous I was. I burned with jealousy. I didn't necessarily dislike my brother at all. I didn't have any hard feelings towards him, but I burned with jealousy. I wanted that, and I just felt it was so unfair. I hated it. Even more, I hated that I had those feelings. So I was upfront with my family about it. I told my family, told my parents how I felt, and I remember just sobbing, thinking that I couldn't tell my parents this. I couldn't tell my parents how I thought I really felt. They would never forgive me, and of course that wasn't the case. My mother, she comforted me. My father, he strengthened me, and they got me through it. And actually being that honest with my family showed me how much God had changed me. And I was scared to tell them. When I wrote those things down, I waited for 1 week because I was so afraid. And I prayed, I pleaded to God that he would give me the confidence, the boldness, and the courage to tell them what I felt. And he did. And that was how he healed my relationship with my parents. I also got, some personal time with my brother. I told him how I had been so jealous of him for all these years, ever since we were kids. And he comforted me too. He wasn't the least bit angry. Matter of fact, he told me that, everyone feels that way. Of course, duh, I knew that somewhere, but my mind was accusing me. You see, there's 3 types of lies in this world. 3 types of lies that you will be told. First is from other people. But the author of lies is who we call Satan, who was cast out from heaven all those years ago. They call him the accuser of the brethren. It's written there in the Bible. And it means that even as Christians, the devil continues to lie to us and tell us that we are not worthy of God's love or anything for that matter. Third, the third type of lies come from within. And I believe that both Satan and myself were accusing me of basically being a piece of crap who didn't deserve my parents' love and my brother's love. But God healed one more relationship. You see, you guys might know I'm doing a collaboration with Torchlight. I mean, I should call it Torchlight, with my best friend, Finn. Now, Finn and I have been friends for a long time, and we consider each other brothers. We're beyond friends. We're family. Different brothers from different brothers from different mothers, so to speak. However, these past couple of years, our relationship has started to fray. There was distance between us. Sometimes we had said nasty things to each other. And to be honest with you, we had almost broken off our friendship in December. But we had a real deep heart-to-heart. And Finn had worried that I had lost track of who I was. As you guys know, when I did Yankee in Japan, I always tried to be the DJ, the popular guy, the mood maker. And in some ways, I am a mood maker. Not even in some ways, I am. But there was a superficiality to it, a hollowness to it. And I was basically trying to cover up the fact that I still didn't like myself, still hated myself. It was fake. A lot of it, not all of it, but a lot of it was fake. And Sven was real enough as a man, as a brother, as a Christian, as a Christ follower, to tell me that. One thing I really value about Finn, he's always honest, brutally honest, and that's what I need, honestly. So he voiced his complaints, voiced his concerns, I voiced mine, and after that honest talk, we actually decided to do the collaboration with Raw Faith, the one I'm doing now, and Operation and Torchlight, the one that he's doing. And so out of those ashes of our relationship, our friendship became something even more beautiful. Our friendship was strengthened, our faith in ourselves and in God was also strengthened. And God healed those 3 bonds of my life, those 3 very important relationships, my parents, my brother, and Finn. So thank you so much for listening. Hopefully I can do this in Japanese too on the camera. If not, then definitely listen to the audio version. If you can understand Japanese, or if you are Japanese, look forward to the Japanese version. It should be coming out within a week or so. Again, happy Resurrection Day. I hope that you allow God to bring you through your wilderness, lead you through your river. Because no matter what valley you may go through, just like it says in Psalms, God will lead you through the valley of the shadow of death. And your testimony, please tell that to people. It's important. It's important because testimonies strengthen your faith and they strengthen the faith of others. They are so very important. Your stories matter. There is no person on earth who has no story. Every person is important. So get that story out there, and I hope to talk to you guys soon. Thank you for listening to Raw Faith, or thank you for watching Raw Faith this time. God bless you, and I'll see you next time.